Good morning, students. Welcome back to our English class. We were studying the first chapter from your text Hornbill. The name of the chapter was The Portrait of a Lady, written by Khushwant Singh. In the past few videos, we have learned almost half of the chapter, and in this video particular, I'll be explaining the following paragraphs from this chapter. Now let's start. In the evening, a change came over. She did not pray. She collected the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum and started to sing. For several hours, she thumped the sagging skins of the dilapidated drum and sang of the homecoming of warriors. We had to persuade her to stop, avoid overstraining. That was the first time since I had known her that she did not pray. So in this paragraph, students, it has been said by the author that the evening the author came back from abroad. She was so very happy that she started to rejoice the homecoming of her grandson. How she expressed her joy, how she rejoiced. She collected the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum and started to sing. Now in my past videos, students, I told you the grandmother never used to like music. She used to attach the music with the people of the lower rank or the lower level. But over here, surprisingly, for several hours, she got an old drum and started to sing, and she thumped the sagging skin of the dilapidated drum. Now this is again a phrase, students, you have to learn. It means that it points to the shabby and deteriorated condition of the drum. She sang that kind of song which means the homecoming of the warrior. That means in remembrance of her grandson, whom she feels that he has come back from abroad fighting a battle and successfully completing the study. That means successfully completing the study, her grandson, that is our author, has come back from abroad. So this is a homecoming song. We had persuaded her, means in this paragraph, all the family members tried to persuade her, to make her stop, that do not overstrain, do not take so much of strain, because that might bring you ill health. You might, she might fall ill. But that evening, surprisingly, she refrained from praying and kept on singing the songs with the women of neighborhood. The next morning, let's come to the next paragraph. The next morning, she was taken ill. It was a mild fever and the doctor told us that it would go. But my grandmother thought differently. She told us that her end was near, and she said that since only a few hours before the close of the last chapter of her life, she had omitted to pray, she was not going to waste any more time talking to us. So in this paragraph, it has been said, the next morning, quite obviously, as she has overstrained herself the evening prior to that day, that's why she fall ill. Now it was a mild fever. The doctor visited, and the doctor said also that it would go, nothing to worry about. But the grandmother was thinking differently. She was assuming that she has come to the end of her life. She is nearing to the end of the chapter, the final chapter of her life. She did not want to waste talking to others, and she started praying, and she kept on praying. Now in the next paragraph, it has been said that we protested, but she ignored our protest. She lay peacefully in bed, praying and telling her beads. Even before we could suspect, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. A peaceful pallor spread on her face, and we knew that she was dead. So over here in this paragraph, students, it has been said that at the thinking or at the anticipation of the grandmother that she is nearing to the death or the last phase of her life, the family members protested that why are you thinking so? But she ignored everybody's protest because she was determined and kept lying on her bed without talking to anybody, without wasting any more time. She kept on praying and telling her bids, that is, counting her bids and chanting the prayers. Even before we could suspect, so even before, while in her prayers, even everybody could suspect, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers, and that clearly denotes that she has passed away. And it is even more evident from the pallor, a peaceful pallor. Pallor means an unhealthy pale appearance. So from this unhealthy pale appearance that covered her face, everybody knew that she has passed away. Now coming to the next paragraph, students, that we lifted her off the bed and is customary laid her on the ground and covered her with a red shroud. Now shroud means a length of cloth or enveloping garment, blanket or cover. So which means that in this paragraph it has been said that after her death she was lifted off from the bed, that is, her mortal remains has been lifted up from the bed, and it was customary to keep her on the ground covering a red colored cloth or blanket. Now, after a few hours of mourning, we left her alone to make arrangements for her funeral, that is, for her last rites. In order to cremate her, everybody left. In the evening, what happened? In the evening, we went to her room with a crude stretcher to take her to be cremated. The sun was setting and had lit her room and veranda with a blaze of golden light. Now from here, students, the sun was setting from here till end. You will find how the nature is mourning at the death of the grandmother. As the grandmother has passed away, such a spiritual lady with a golden soul, with a golden heart, and a love for the nature, love for the birds, animals, the nature, starting from sun till the bird, every part of the nature is mourning at the passing away of the grandmother from this earth. The sun was setting and had lit, so the sun rays lit up her room and the veranda with a blaze. Blaze means a very large or fiercely burning fire, inferno, holocaust or flame. So this golden light lit up her room and the veranda, and we stopped halfway in the courtyard, all over the veranda and in her room, right up to where she lay dead and stiff, wrapped in the red shroud. Thousands of sparrows sat scattered on the floor. The sparrows came in the evening and was sitting around her mortal remains in the courtyard, and there was no charming. They preferred to remain silent. The sparrows even realized, were sensitive to the setting, that the grandmother who used to feed them has passed away, and they were not chirping. We felt sorry for the birds, and my mother baked some bread for them. She broke it into little crumbs, and the way my grandmother used to, and threw it to them. The sparrows took no notice of the bread. When we carried our grandmother's corpse off, they flew away quietly. Next morning, the sweeper swept the breadcrumbs into the dustbin. So looking at the sparrows mourning at the death of the grandmother, everybody felt sorry, and looking at this circumstance, the author's mother went and fetched some bread for them, but they refrained from having those breads that day. They took no notice of those breadcrumbs and sat quietly, and while the mortal remains had been taken away by the people from the courtyard, they also flew away quietly. The next morning, the sweeper swept the breadcrumbs into the dustbin. So this is the last line of the chapter, and we find that how the nature has also mourned at the passing away of the grandmother of our author Khushwant